Oh, incredible. What an honor to be hanging out with you all for the last talk. Yes, my name is Lara. I'm here to talk about mentorship and sponsorship. There's a link with all of the slides and resources and blog posts, but you can just save that for later and just sit back, enjoy this talk. We've been talking so much about what you can do for your teammates, how you can help your teams, what on earth you're going to do with AI. I want you to just sit back, relax, and soak this one up because, as we all know, how we want to grow is so important too. And the work that we do is tremendously intangible, right? Unlike what we used to do when we were more hands-on, it's so hard to feel that sense of progress and growth in our careers when we're doing work like this. When I think about my career trajectory so far, I recognize that I am where I am today because of the people who I've leaned on and learned from as I've grown. People at work, people outside of work, friends, families, frankly, plenty of you in this audience, right? Strangers on the internet. It's critical to build and lean on that network of support so that we can lean on as we grow. We're not going to get far, if we try to go do this all solo. So who have you already leaned on or learned from so far? I'm asking you to take a moment and think about one such person who has frankly skyrocketed your growth. I'm wondering, what specifically did they do? What was the magic that they worked that helped you grow so much? When I ask folks this question, I usually hear folks say they gave me some advice. It's like they could see the future. They had a crystal ball and they knew what information I should know today to help me solve this problem, unblock myself from this challenge. I also hear folks say they actually asked me this mind-blowing question that gave me that ding, a little light bulb moment. They helped me realize something mind-blowing and expanding. I also hear some less than happy examples. That's tough feedback, difficult conversations. Something, though, that really helped unlock me, and it was unfortunate, but I really had to hear this in order to figure out how to move forward. But the one I hear most often is this one. I usually hear people say, I have no idea why they trusted me, but they threw me in the deep end with this huge project or this big milestone. And again, I have no idea why they decided to give that to me, but that's what really helped me grow. We tend to categorize all of those different skills that I just described as mentorship. But actually, I just listed a bunch of really different, distinct skills. And this distinction is important because we're going to need different flavors of support as we grow in our careers. So my goal with this talk is to help paint a picture of all the different ways you might lean on different people as you grow. Because I want to help you feel like you can get out of here and be like, yes, I know exactly how I want to expand going forward. So this is one of my longtime mentors, John Alspa. He's been such a good mentor to me that he actually officiated my wedding. So this photo is from a conference 10 years ago. The person who's cut off, actually, we only realized this recently. That's actually my now husband. So sorry, Ben, to cut you off from this picture. But John has been a mentor for me for years. He's helped me throughout some of my, honestly, biggest, toughest moments as a manager and as a leader. And he's helped me learn a lot by sharing his perspective and his experience with me. He has known me so well that he can know exactly what kinds of information I might need in order to be unlocked and move forward and figure out what on earth I'm supposed to be doing. This is what great mentorship can look like. So the canonical definition of mentorship that I'm using here today is giving advice based on someone's experience. In practice, this looks like a mentor sharing their perspective, sharing things that they've seen work or not work, suggesting some things that their mentee could try. It might not be only about that mentor's opinions. They might also be like, hey, I read this research paper, or here's some pitfalls I've seen other people fall into. You're going to want to avoid them too. But typically, mentoring is sharing your perspective and their experience with you to help you hone your skills. Getting a mentor is a really smart choice when you're onboarding to a new type of challenge or a new type of role. When you're like, I could really use some advice from someone who's been here before, that's a perfect moment to go grab yourself a mentor. People like to be helpful, right? People like talking about themselves too. So giving advice is often the first thing that humans reach for when someone comes to them with a problem. So seriously, a good mentor can give you advice and share their knowledge to help you tackle that thing that you're facing. And they're going to feel great sharing what they've seen, what they've learned from, the mistakes that they've made, because it feels like they're actually able to help you too. Christy Tillman also taught me how, in addition to giving advice and perspective, mentors can also give you access to loads more people, and with that access can give you lots more information and more opportunities too. So thinking about my mentor, John Allspaw, his proximity to so many more people has given me an even greater expansion of knowledge, of information, of networking, frankly. So mentor can be, leaning on their perspective, but also their network too. And research backs all of this up. One of the papers that I linked to on the resources page is by the Association of Women Surgeons, which is a very different AWS than the one that I was previously familiar with. But Strategies for Building an Effective Mentoring Relationship was written and published on their website, and it's just phenomenal. I'm going to read to you a couple of things from here that has really helped me, frankly, make sure that my mentoring relationships are the most healthy and productive that they can be. So as their paper details, a personal fit is important because differences in values can seriously undermine a mentoring relationship. So their paper wrote that qualities of a successful relationship include honesty, active listening, flexibility, reciprocity, mutual respect, a personal connection, and shared values. So without these qualities, you're probably going to have a less than productive mentoring relationship, which is frankly just as much of a waste of time for you as it is for your mentor. And mentorship requires this investment of time, of energy, and of emotional resources. And our mentoring relationships evolve over time because we're growing and our mentor is growing. Your mentor should be giving you advice that's current and frankly relevant to the changing dynamics happening in our industry. Because advice that might work for one person could destroy another person's career. So mentors should stay up to date and understand the unique perspective and context of their mentor and give advice that's going to be truly actually helpful to them. Good mentors should be generous with credit. Mentors should want you to surpass them in experience and skill because your success is ultimately your mentor's success too. I would definitely recommend you have more than one person that you go to for advice because, as we all know, no one person can or should be your everything. As a mentee, I highly recommend you think about not just the people who look flashy and cool, but are not going to be modeling the kinds of behaviors that you don't want to emulate. Their paper described literally, the workaholic mentor without any personal life may be a great research advisor, but not someone to emulate for life balance, right? We want to find those healthy mentors to lean on. There's going to be people that you know with different strengths, weaknesses, different amounts of time that they can devote to you. Don't put all of your hopes on just one person. Find that diverse group of folks that you can lean on as you grow. But sometimes that person that you're leaning on just isn't a great fit. Maybe they're a great mentor for somebody else, but not quite the right person to help you and win where you're at. It is totally okay to end that mentor relationship. The easiest way that I've found to do this is to be like, thanks so much. This has been helpful. I'm going to go practice everything we've talked about, and I'll definitely reach out again if more stuff comes up. So I'm actually going to time out from my own talk because I've got a pet peeve that I'm going to share with you all right now, and I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to do it. So many people conflate mentorship with coaching. I'm going to talk about sponsorship in a second, but frankly, when you picture the coach of a team sport, what do you picture them doing? I don't know sports, diagramming plays, giving feedback, I'm assuming, right? Telling people what to do, go run over there, probably something like that. In the workplace, in things like life coaches and leadership coaches, coaching means something actually really different from giving that kind of direction, from giving that advice. Again, I've been trained as a leadership coach, which means that rather than giving lots of advice based on my own experience and knowledge, I'm trying to ask genuinely curious questions of this other person to help them figure out what's true for them. Because coaching is not about telling you what you should do. It's helping someone figure out what's true for them on the inside. We're all super different humans with different skills and contexts and backgrounds. What's worked for me will probably not work for you. So when we were in coach training, they literally, for the first few weeks of coach training, they didn't allow us to give advice to help us break that habit, because really what people need in order to grow is to figure out what's true for themselves. So coaching is an entire talk unto itself, so I won't go into it any more deeply than that. But just so you know, mentoring mode is really helpful when you're unblocked or we need to get unblocked or you're kind of facing something that you haven't seen before. And coaching is the one for internal growth. If you feel like there's a really deep hurdle that you can't quite get past and you're not sure what's going on, I would highly recommend you reach out for a coach. But when it comes to actual career trajectory, the skill that's most relevant is sponsorship. I don't mean the money bags kinds of sponsorship. Sponsors help us find new opportunities to look for ways that we can provide value and put our name in the ring. Sponsors feel on the hook for helping us level up. They might also involve, coaching and mentorship, but that's not why it's so impactful. Visible developmental growth opportunities are the things that a sponsor is on the lookout for to basically put your name in the ring for them. This is Courtney Nash. I met her at an O'Reilly conference at a lunch table, and I learned that she worked for O'Reilly, the book publisher. And I was like, oh, hey, I have this book idea. And she gave me advice. She was like, here's how to write the table of contents. Here's how to submit this proposal. But behind the scenes, she was a sponsor for me. It's clear that she believed in the idea and really advocated for me. And she helped me get my first big shot at writing a real print book. And again, most of the ways that she sponsored me were invisible to me, but it's clear that she cleared the way so that I could really grow as a leader. So what's the difference between mentorship and sponsorship? Kat Small made this brilliant illustration, and I'll read to you the speech bubbles. In mentorship, she says, have you tried applying to speak at conferences and meetups already? And in the sponsorship one, she says, I recommended you for the speaking gig. Can you do it? Yeah, totally. Economist and professor Amina Ibarra says, in mentorship, the connection to actually getting promoted and actually getting developmental assignments has been kind of diluted. Sponsorship has to do with feeling on the hook to get somebody a promotion, fighting for them, mentioning their name in an appointments meeting, and making sure that the person that you're sponsoring gets the next assignment and gets visible and developmental assignments. So of all the skills that we've talked about, sponsorship is the only one that's directly correlated to career trajectory. As Kate Huston says, mentors give perspective, sponsors give opportunity. This is because a sponsor feels on the hook to help you get to that next level. Again, sponsorship can involve coaching and mentoring, but that's not why it's so effective. As Kate says in her excellent blog post, which I linked to on the resources page, sponsorship can be super small too. It is really likely that you've already had a sponsor in your career, and you've probably been a sponsor for someone too, even if you didn't realize it. Anytime you invite someone to shadow you at an important meeting, or you tell someone's manager that they're doing a really great job, that's sponsorship. And it is incredibly effective, way more so than mentorship and coaching for leveling up someone's career. There's so many papers out there and research studies about the career benefits of sponsorship, and this one makes me laugh the most because what on earth is a statistical career benefit? What this paper found was that when people have a sponsor, they are so much more likely to ask for a stretch assignment or ask for a raise. This is huge. It leads to so many more opportunities for challenging, impactful work. And obviously, having a higher salary translates to more opportunities in the future. This stuff is enormous. I am so surprised I haven't heard more people talking yet about finding sponsors for themselves. Lots of people say, I need to go get some advice, right? But it's time to think about the power of giving opportunities too. So I'm going to guess that you're thinking, how do I find one of these? How hard is it to find someone who's willing to go out on a limb for me to help me get to the next level? Your manager's probably the first person who comes to mind, right? They can promote you, they can assign you work, they're familiar with you, but frankly, just having your manager sponsor you isn't enough. It won't ever be enough. They're just one person with a particular viewpoint, with a particular list of opportunities that they can kind of put your name in the ring for. So I want to help you think about all of the different people who could be sponsors for you. How do you go out and find them? First, I highly recommend doing good work because the relationship that you have with your sponsor is predicated on the power dynamic that's at play in your work. Sponsorship is high stakes. You're effectively asking this person to put their reputation on the line for you. sponsors will be leveraging their power and their reputation on your behalf. So make sure that you're doing everything in your power to make this sponsorship worth it. Next, you've got to find somebody who knows you and your work. Someone who's seen what you've been delivering on, how you've leveled up the people around you, how you've impacted the business, right? Again, often the person who you report to is the most obvious sponsor for you, but I'm going to ask you, who else has seen the good work that you do? Who else is in the rooms where it happens? Who else can vouch for you and the impact that you've had? Could they be a sponsor for you? You can ask them to meet up sometime and ask them a specific way that you would like to grow, that you'd like their help with. If you go in there and you're like, hello, can you please help me get promoted? They're going to be like, sure, right? But like, who knows what that means? Have a specific request. Hey, I'm looking at getting into public speaking. Can you give me some feedback on this abstract I have for the LeadDev CFP, right? Or I'd like to be a team lead someday. I'm trying to ask a bunch of different leaders if I can shadow them and see how they lead these important meetings. Can I tag along sometime? Be specific and make sure you can back your request up with action, because follow through is really important. I know that this can feel tremendously risky and like you're asking a lot of this person, but remember, people like to feel helpful. And also remember that being this specific makes it so much easier for their brains, right? You're giving them the obvious answer here. You're giving them a specific way that they can be helpful to you. Think of it like giving them the opportunity to lift up your name and give them some supporting evidence that you're going to do some great work. Throughout the relationship, keep this person updated on your work and your progress. Let them know all the ways that your work has been helping others or delivering on goals or helping your team do even more things. Fill them in on what's working too, the roadblocks that you might be hitting and where you might need some extra help. And just to underscore this, continue to do work that helps others, right? No one wants to be a sponsor for someone who's just being a jerk or not being helpful. Just be the best person you can possibly be to make this sponsor look really good. I've also tried to build my sponsorship relationships by being there for them too. Sponsorship doesn't have to feel one-sided. Like I'll offer to let my sponsor role play a difficult conversation, give them some feedback on something, or just give them a safe space to vent. You may not think that you can do that much to help this person with so much power, but I promise, by creating a psychologically safe and healthy space to help someone process or think about what they're going through, it's a gift. So I keep on talking about this topic as if you have multiple sponsors. I really do believe that it's important that you lean on a diverse group of people as you grow. I like to think of it as, each person's a different imaginary facet of what my ideal manager would look like. And all together, they make up what you all know I like to call my manager Voltron. So I was inspired by the 1980s television show about heroes that joined forces to create a giant super robot. And my manager Voltron is made up of a list of supportive people that I've worked with or leaned on for years. I consider them each a facet of what my imaginary unicorn manager would be like. For example, when I'm faced with a technical leadership challenge that I've never seen before and my normal tactics just plain old don't work, I reach out to my old colleague Rafe, who has a completely different, just antithetical leadership style to my own. Whatever he says always blows my mind, and it really helps me get unlocked and figure out what to do next. Or when I encounter an executive level problem that I've never seen before, I reach out to Mary. Honestly, throughout how many years now, Mary, I've leaned on them so much for so many of these executive level problems, and Mary's provided so much context and advice and support. So you can see how Rafe and Mary are each a different facet of what my idealized manager would be, right? Different perspectives, different skills. This is that multifaceted network of support. As you meet new people at conferences like this, at work, and really anywhere, continuously be on the lookout for people who are going to push you out of your comfort zone, are really different than you, right? They have experience in a different industry, more experience, less experience. One of my best mentors is a CFO. I've got no idea what she does all day. And that extra different perspective has tremendously helped me out. So to help you with this list, I've made you a bingo card. It's slightly different than the one that you found in the back of your booklets. If you go to this website, you'll be able to find it, print it out, give it to all your friends. I have genuinely kept this updated through the years. I've got so many people's names kind of crammed into the corners. Figure out who you already lean on to help you as you grow and who you might want to seek out in the future. So we're going to look at this from a slightly different angle. We've been talking about finding a mentor or a coach or a sponsor for yourself so that you can continue to grow, right? But looking around this room, you all have so much power. No matter your work, your title, whatever it is, you have plenty of opportunities to be a sponsor for other people. You've got chances to lift up other people's names for projects or, speaking gigs or writing a company blog post. And as you think about who you might want to start lifting up for these opportunities, I want to especially call out that members of minoritized groups are over-mentored but under-sponsored. This means that members of minoritized communities get lots of advice, even unsolicited advice. They get a ton of people offering to take them out for coffee or be a mentor or teach them something new, but it is much more rare for them to have help that looks more like sponsorship. Why is this? It's not because people are intentionally ignoring members of minoritized communities, but because of how our brains and social networks work, the people that we think of for these opportunities are the people that we're closest to. And more often than not, those people are really similar to us in a variety of ways. It has to do with this thing called in-group bias. I'm going to do a quick exercise. I want you to think about the first people who pop into your brain. So going back to the beginning of the talk, who was that person who skyrocketed your growth? Who's the last person that you referred for a job or you did an email introduction for? Who is the last person you recommended a good book to? And who have you promoted recently or recommended work on a big project? Once you have that list of people in your brain, ask yourself, how many of the people on the list are the same gender as you? Same ethnicity? Has super similar opinions on cryptocurrencies as you do? Right? This is in-group bias. This is just no shame here. This is just a natural way of how humans connect and network and support each other. Candidly, until I started learning about this stuff, most of the people that I sponsored were white, cisgendered women like me. It just takes work to combat this very natural way that we interact and support each other. And having a sponsor provides enormous career benefits for everyone, but it's especially true for members of minoritized groups. I linked to a ton of different studies on that resources page. In this study, people of color were nearly twice as likely to be satisfied with their rate of career advancement when they got a sponsor. And in this one, this study found that with a sponsor, women in science, engineering, and technology fields are 70% more likely to have their ideas endorsed, 119% more likely to see those ideas developed, and 200% more likely to see those ideas implemented. So what are some tactics that you can employ today to be a sponsor for those who don't look like you? Or if you're a member of a minoritized community, how can you be a sponsor for somebody with different intersections of marginalization? Take a look at the daily communications that you participate in, your work chat logs, the conversations you have with others, the process for figuring out who should fix a bug or work on a new project, the process for making your team's work visible, right? Architecture reviews, code reviews, launch calendars. I'm hoping that you'll be surprised by the variety of ways, how many moments there are throughout an average day to be a sponsor for someone else. As my mentor and sponsor and wedding officiant, John Allspaw said, as you grow as a leader, you must lift up the skills and expertise of those around you. So I'd like to take this one step further. We should be lifting up the names of those around us for opportunities that we see ahead and shouting from the rooftops for the really incredible work that they're doing. Future leaders are all around us, and I'm so excited to see you all go out there and skyrocket their growth. Thank you.